Now, a couple of years ago, I did manage to rescue some rather strange bits. Well, three strange things, to be honest with you. These. This is a Scalextric Rover SD1. They're not all working. And I say that you can sell that just by looking at them. To get these things to work, you have these little contacts underneath. That one's got its contacts complete. So one side it's missing the actual contact piece. And the same goes for the Rover. The Rover again, unfortunately, missing one on one side. And as these are models, and they're made by a model company that make them, obviously being Scalextrics, also do Airfix and other things. As with all model stuff, it comes apart and you can fix it, which in this instance is quite straightforward. They just literally fall apart, take the parts out, and then you can get to the very basic bits, motors and stuff, to replace whatever you need to replace. So one day, without much effort, they could be fixed and made to work again. So why should I save them, or why did I want to save them and keep them? Because obviously, as you've seen before, I have Tut in my loft. And that's very heavy tut and crap from my loft, but it's actually this. I mean, this, to be fair, isn't the actual box. This is the lid of the box. The box itself, it's quite a heavy old bugger. But it's quite good. It's cool. I like it. It's been in the loft for quite a long time. Probably for about, I don't know, 20 years maybe. I got it, I think, for my 35th birthday, possibly. So early 2000s, I think I got it. And at the time, the Sport Track was quite a good track. It was quite a good thing to have. It's just one of those things, is it comes with 3 different layouts. So you can set it up to 3 different ways, 3 different track layouts you want. It's bloody enormous. It takes up so much space. And I mean, by big, I mean that's a single track piece. One single track piece of short track, and there's 8 of these, I believe, 8 to 10 of these. Then there's the corners, and then there's the barriers that go on the edge. This is the newer, so this is like 2nd generation, I think, but it's not the digital one. They did a newer version of that, which was digital, where you could actually make the cars do all sorts of other things and do all sorts of weird stuff. This one was the sport version, which had a track counter. When I had a very big room, like a spare room that was big enough to lay it out on, it was laid out on the floor. But you move and you get to places that are smaller and there's no room for it. It takes up so much room. It really, really needs a lot of room. And that's why it's spent most of its life in the loft. Because the cars are the things that make it the most interesting. Playing it, it's all right. It's one of them things you need a lot of mates to have round, people who know what they're doing with it. It's a certain age. Going back to this thing with the Rubik's Cube, it's like an 80s type thing, really. 70s, 80s type thing.
You're revving on up, you got smoke on your wheels. How does life in a fast lane feel?
Obviously today kids don't want to play with stuff like that, but they do know that, and they put into it some nostalgia pieces, things that you expect the older generation people to want to buy. My set came with 2 cars with the set. It's a racing set, it's a Formula 1 set, so it came with 2 Formula 1 cars from a golden era. So you've got the Benton and Hedges Jordan and the Williams. And, you know, they're not bad. They're quite nicely detailed. The nice thing about having that set is it did come with spares. You get spares here, there and everywhere. You've even got bulbs. Strange enough, which I don't understand why I got the bulbs, because the bulbs don't fit in the Formula 1 cars. It's a bit weird. And the first set of spare cars I got was some NASCARs. And these are actually quite nice. There's 2 of them. These ones have actually got magnets at the back of the motor. So the magnet actually holds it onto the track. So it sticks to the track a lot better than the ones without the magnets. That's one of the things that you got with Scalextrics, they came off the track all the time, which was really annoying, which is why kids don't like playing them today. The contacts as these things, so you normally got spares of these with your cars. These are slightly different on this one though, because these ones have got a little contact strip down here that connects to this piece. So this piece just pulls off and it connects there. The older cars, where the bits aren't working properly, have actually got wires that run into those, but it's still very, very easy thing to fix. The next thing I bought, I thought, well, they're quite good. I like the NASCARs, so I ended up buying some rally cars as well. A couple of Ford Focus RSs, a white and a black one, to race against each other. So when my brother did come round, we could race these against each other, which was quite fun. These are quite nice, quite nicely detailed, which is one thing about them. The other thing about these is they're not cheap, which is why they're nicely detailed. These cars, if you look at them today, most of the cars on the Scalextrics website are around 55 quid. So they're not exactly cheap. I then also got bought by somebody else, I think for a birthday. I got bought a really, really annoying but very well detailed, another Ford RS Focus, but this time it's a police car. This one is really annoying because it's got flashing lights and a siren, as it says down here on the box. These ones have got lights. These light up at the headlights. Nothing else lights up on them and they're not noisy. Whereas that one's really, really noisy, but it's still quite cool. And then I think my brother or someone, I think it might be my brother, somebody then eventually bought me a really posh car for it, which was the Ferrari Enzo. Nice box, presentation, mirror and everything, really good looking. In the pack with the Enzo, you've got braid just on its own. There you go. So that's the stuff that's needed to fix the old ones. But you can buy this quite cheap from the Hornby shop. Now, the Ferrari isn't a Scalextrics car. I'm not sure if Scalextrics made a detailed model of the Enzo. This is a lot more detailed than you'd expect to get from the average Scalextrics car, but it's made by a company called Carrera, and they're part of Mattel Toys. Now, in the United States, they call these things slot car racers and slot car racing, which, you know, we should do really. We only call it Scalextrics because that's the major brand that we're all attributed to for this type of racing. So for slot car racing, other manufacturers make the cars, and you can get really detailed, very, very highly detailed model cars online, as well as Scalextrics. Now, people moan about having game systems and consoles today that have download content and you have to pay extra to play the game properly and to be able to use it and to do the stuff you want to do on it. Scalextrics thing was much the same as that, to be honest with you. I mean, you got your track in your layout, the layout you wanted, and if you wanted to get more of this, you paid for more of this, but it wasn't cheap. So with this set, there's nothing to stop the cars just sliding straight off, which of course they did all the time, which is why you needed a friend to play with you, maybe a third person to go and get the cars for you when they flew off. But there was nothing to stop that happening. If you wanted to, you had to buy extras, and they were the accessories they sold with it, which meant the price went up. Things like runoff areas. These runoff areas don't come with the set. They're an extra, and you needed to buy quite a lot of these to go around all the corners you had. And then even if that wasn't enough runoff, you didn't have to buy this stuff, which is the Armco barrier, which goes in that, so that when your cars do come off, your cars would rash into the barrier, and somehow, unless you was going really fast and they flew over it, you'd try and keep your cars on the track by keeping them in this with the Armco. But that wasn't the only accessories, not the only accessories that I've got in the loft either. The other thing it would have was, unopened for me, people. Spectators, or, well, these are garage trackside assistants actually. They're not spectators, these are people that go on the garage. Say garage? What garage? The pit stop. Something else again that I have never opened. The pit stop people. I say I've never opened it. I've opened it, but I never used it. Another one I definitely never used was grandstand. Again, I think it's one of the reasons for this one not being used is quite simple. It's a proper model, and as you can see, all the people are white. So you had to sit down and paint all the little people, which would be a good thing to do with my little pots of paint I've got down there now. I could maybe one day, you never know. So the only car that might actually work out of all of that is this thing, because of that. So I'll give this a go, see if it does work, and yeah, it will all go back in the loft again, where it's been for ages and where it will stay until I have somewhere to put it or find something to do with it. Pass it down to the kids who then have nowhere to put it and use it. Although saying that, the kids have actually got a micro Scalextrics. I think they got years ago when my eldest son was about 6. they did the micro sets with the little cars, and that's quite fun. I mean, they played for that for probably a few hours and never touched it ever again afterwards. That's one of the problems with toys like this nowadays. Kids just aren't interested in this sort of stuff. It's a lot of faffing about. It is expensive, as I said. There's some very, very nice cars for collectors on the website. Things like the Back to the Future DeLorean, Batman, Knight Rider with the flashing light. There's loads of really nice stuff you'd think as a collector, just to sit them on a shelf. They're nice looking cars, but they're 55 quid each. So it's just a very, very expensive hobby if you was to get into it nowadays. And kids don't want to. Kids want to play on the Switch and the Xbox or the Xbox One. When I play with the kids, I nowadays play with the Xbox or the Switch with them. And that ends up us playing usually a mixed combination of the Xbox and the Switch. 3 of us playing Among Us. And I did actually do all right. I'm not bad at Among Us. Although my son's probably played it about 1 million times more than I have. I can get on with it all right. Now, as I was saying with the rescue cars, unfortunately the only one of the rescue cars that's actually going to work is this one. But work it does. But it does look like it needs some work on it. The track itself probably need a bit of maintenance because it's been such a long time since anything's been used. Now, I did say earlier that the police car was the most annoying one, and the thing with the most annoying one is that it is, as you can tell,
pal. And nice haircut.
Don't forget, the solicitor said to have them back by 6.
Right, jump in the front.
Hey, I've got the scale electric all set up. And look.
Well, the new Jordan.
Yeah, but you'll never beat my new Ferrari. We're going.
So anyway, that's another video of stuff that comes out of the loft that goes back in the loft, as always.